Let's see here. Yes, I did. All right. Gloria Yvette Williams. Good morning, Ms. Williams. Ma'am, you're charged with the third-degree felony of injury to a child by omission, the first-degree felony of injury to a child causing serious bodily injury, the second-degree felony of tampering with evidence when that evidence is a human corpse. I have looked at the alleged probable cause facts for these three charges, including the supplemental statement of facts, which I believe was supplied to the Public Defender's Office. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause for all three of these cases to go forward. All three cases will go to the 230th District Court. That's going to be Judge Chris Morton. Will you need a court-appointed lawyer from Judge Morton? Would you like the help today of Attorney Chris Henderson from the Public Defender's Office? Ms. Keith, on the question of bond for each of these three charges, what is the state's request?
In the first-degree felony, I am requesting a $500,000 bond, and in the injury to a child by omission and tampering with evidence cases, I'm requesting $250,000 bonds, and I am opposed to personal bonds, not necessarily because the injury cases are prohibited by this court for personal bonds to be granted, but mostly based on the horrific facts and circumstances of this case, which resulted in the death of a 7-year-old child. As is reflected in the statement of probable cause, officers were called out to a residence in Harris County on Greencrest Drive on October the 24th of this year regarding the death of the minor complainant, who is the child of this defendant. There were 3 juvenile witnesses who are also complainants in these cases. There was a 15, 10, and 7-year-old child who are witnesses to the incident. Officers arrived, spoke with the 15-year-old child, who stated that he found his younger brother, the deceased minor complainant, in a bedroom of the residence sometime around Thanksgiving of last year, 2020. He believed this defendant would call the police, told officers that she never did so, and that she then had moved out of the apartment, leaving them in the residence with his deceased younger brother without adult supervision. He stated that they had found his younger brother approximately 1 week before Thanksgiving. He also told officers that the co-defendant, who is the boyfriend of this defendant, would lock them in a bedroom and he would hear them hitting his brothers while he was in the room with them. He stated he told this defendant about the conduct, but she ignored him, said she would talk with the co-defendant, and the 15-year-old stated, quote, that never worked. Officers also spoke with the 10-year-old complaining witness, who is the complainant in the first-degree felony serious bodily injury case, who stated that he was actually in the room when the co-defendant assaulted his deceased younger brother, striking him in the face, feet, buttocks, back, his legs, and testicles with closed fists and feet. He stated that the co-defendant then laid his brother on the floor and put a cover over him, that the defendant then came in the room to check on his younger brother, saw the body under the cover. She began crying, then made him leave the room. The 10-year-old stated that the defendant and the co-defendant then began fighting because the co-defendant had killed his younger brother. He stated that the defendant then came back another day, checked on his younger brother, and found that his body, feet, and teeth had turned into a skeleton. He stated that the co-defendant would beat him as well, hitting him on his buttocks, legs, stomach, and face, and punched him in the jaw, causing his face to be swollen. He stated when the co-defendant would drink beer and alcohol, he would get very strong. The 10-year-old also stated that his younger brother was on the floor under the cover, that his body was a skeleton, and that his hair was off. Law enforcement officers on scene observed that 10-year-old child to have extensive swelling to his face and jaw when they made contact with him on October 24th. He was transported to Texas Children's Hospital, where it was discovered that he had blunt force trauma to the face, which would require surgery because medical treatment was not sought or obtained when he was injured. During a forensic interview the following day, he disclosed that the injury had occurred when the co-defendant struck him in the face approximately 3 weeks prior, and that this defendant was aware of the injury but did not seek or obtain medical aid for him. The 7-year-old child was also interviewed, who stated that he saw it when his older brother, who is now deceased, was injured. He said he saw the co-defendant punching his brother, that his brother was lying down and the co-defendant kicked him with his feet, that his brother was not moving and the co-defendant continued to kick him and stared at his younger brother as he kicked him. He stated his younger brother's eyes were black and that he stopped blinking during the assault, that they pulled back the covers and saw that he was really dead and saw roaches everywhere on him. Officers also spoke to this defendant on October the 24th, 2021, when she was interviewed, and she stated that in November of 2020, before Thanksgiving, she had gone into the bedroom where the deceased complainant and 2 other children were at. She witnessed the co-defendant punching her now deceased son. She said she stopped him from continuing to assault him, that she entered the bedroom the next morning and found him covered with a blue blanket, that she pulled back and found him to be deceased. She confronted him, the co-defendant, who stated he was sorry that he lost it and punched him, and continued punching him until he went to sleep. The co-defendant told her that he covered him up with a blanket after he went to sleep. The defendant admitted that she knew he was deceased in November of 2020, but did not notify law enforcement at the time of his death because the co-defendant had told her not to. She was afraid that the children would be taken by Child Protective Services and that she would go to jail. Officers on scene on the 24th found the deceased and badly decomposed body of the 9-year-old complainant discovered under a blanket in the bedroom. An autopsy was conducted, and the cause of death was found to be a homicide due to homicidal violence with blunt force injury. I'm requesting those bond amounts, and I'm opposed to lower bonds as I do have concerns for the safety and protection of these surviving complainants, and do not believe that this defendant should be permitted to have any contact with these children or any children in the community. I am requesting a protective order for the surviving children, and as well as urging the state's motion for bond conditions. I believe there was one filed in every case, so the first degree, that she have no contact of any kind with any of these children or the co-defendant, that she be ordered to surrender any travel documentation in the form of a passport, visa, or other travel documents, that she not possess or use any firearms, ammunition, or other weapons, or use, possess, or consume any alcohol, controlled substances, and that she be drug tested, that she be subject to an electronic monitor with a curfew of house arrest, that she have no contact of any kind with any child under the age of 17, or participate or supervise any activities involving children under the age of 17.
All right, very well. Mr. Henderson.
Judge requesting a $200,000 bond
All right, thank you, Mr. Henderson.
And just for clarification, the protective order is being requested in the first degree.
1745064.
Correct.
All right, and the court will issue the MOAB under that order. Ms. Williams, I'm going to set bond for you on the injury to a child case. I'll set that bond in the amount of $350,000. On the tampering with evidence charge, I'm going to set that bond in the amount of $300,000. And on the injury by omission, I'll set that bond in the amount of $250,000. I am going to issue an order of emergency protection. It's going to require you to have no contact with the minor children, Trayvon Lee, Jordan Lee, or Javion Kirkland. They'll be identified in the MOAB by their initials because they are minors. In addition, I am going to issue a bond supervision order. That bond supervision order is going to require you to have no contact with those children. You may not use, possess, or consume any illegal drugs or alcohol if you make bond. You may not use or possess any firearms or other weapons. I do want you to get a GPS device on within a day of your release. There will be a 24-hour curfew. You are prohibited from having any unsupervised contact with any person under the age of 17 years. You are not to supervise, participate, or attend any event where children under the age of 17 years are participants, and you must remain 500 feet away from any school, park, playground, or other location where children regularly gather. And that is, that bond supervision order will be in the first degree case, same as the order of protection. Ms. Williams, are you a United States citizen? All right, if you'd have a seat for just a moment, I'll bring you back up. We'll talk more about the order of protection.
Brian Coulter is charged with murder in the case. Coulter's girlfriend, the child's mother, also facing charges. 3 other children were found abandoned in that apartment unit. Our Brittany Jeffers is live downtown with what's expected to happen this morning. Brittany?
Yes, Brian Coulter due in district court at 9 o'clock this morning. But the question is, will he appear? We'll be there if he does. But yesterday he was being evaluated at a mental health unit, being held on $1 million bond. Now, the sheriff has commented on this case, saying that it seems too horrific to be real.
As far as we knew, she moved out of that apartment complex because the last place we seen was the other apartments that she and the boyfriend were at.
Relatives are speaking out days after deputies found 3 children abandoned in an apartment with skeletal remains. Yasmin Craig says she's the cousin of Gloria Williams. Williams went before a judge yesterday, now charged with injury to a child and tampering with evidence. Williams' boyfriend, Brian Coulter, is charged with murder in the death of Williams' 8-year-old child. Craig says the last time that she spoke with Gloria was back in June, and family asked about the children.
You kept saying, okay, they're good, they in school. Anytime we did go help, where the kids at, how they doing? Oh, they in school.
The sheriff says it was a 15-year-old who called 911 on Sunday, alerting authorities that his brother had been dead for a year and his body was in the apartment. The teenager also said his parents hadn't lived in the apartment for months.
This one's up there. You know, this one affected us.
Yesterday, the Harris County Sheriff's Office shared details about the deplorable conditions the 3 brothers, who were 15, 10, and 7 years old, were living in.
We saw soiled carpet, no furniture at all. No bedding, no blankets, nothing like that we could see.
The kids deserve justice and they need help. They need the physical and the mental help to get over this trauma and put them back on a right track of life.
So the building that you see behind me, that is where Coulter will be appearing again at 9 o'clock this morning. As for Williams, her court date set is for tomorrow. Reporting live, I'm Brittany Jeffers, KPRC 2 News.
Okay, Brittany. story of what happened to 4 young brothers in the West Harris County apartment is horrific and heartbreaking. But it's important to understand what happened so everyone can recognize the signs and hopefully be able to rescue other children who are having to suffer the same nightmare.
This case involves a man accused of beating his girlfriend's children, killing one of them, while the mother's accused of failing to protect her boy. Lauren Tallarico is asking the tough questions tonight about how these children could suffer for so long without anyone noticing.
You know, the more we learn about this investigation, the worse it gets. Tonight we're about to give you an inside look into the lives of this mother and her boyfriend. But first, we have got to warn you, what you're about to hear is upsetting.
These videos and pictures you are seeing are from the public Instagram accounts of Gloria Williams and her boyfriend, Brian Coulter. Scrolling through, they showcase jewelry, food, and he talks about getting drunk or high repeatedly.
I just do my fair share.
Today in court, as Gloria Williams stood before a judge, prosecutors said her son told investigators Coulter's drinking led to the abuse.
He stated when the co-defendant would drink beer and alcohol, he would get very strong.
Investigators with the Harris County Sheriff's Office say the boys were beaten, locked in rooms, and malnourished, forced to live alone in the same apartment that their 8-year-old brothers remained. Court documents say Coulter beat little Kendrick Lee to death in front of 2 of his brothers just before Thanksgiving last year.
Striking him in the face, feet, buttocks, back, his legs, and testicles with closed fists and feet. He stated his younger brother's eyes were black and that he stopped blinking during the assault.
On Sunday, the 15-year-old, seen blurred here, called 911 and this hell was discovered.
Long time of working homicides. This one's up there. You know, this one affected. We saw soiled carpet, no furniture at all, no bedding, no blanket.
Sheriff Ed Gonzalez also says the apartment was infested with bugs, and the 10-year-old had a broken jaw from about 3 weeks ago that he needs surgery to correct. Investigators also believe that 2 of the boys are on the autism spectrum. As for why the teen waited so long to call 911,
I believe it was that absolute fear.
Investigators say the mother would drop off junk food. Neighbors say they too would provide food but had no idea what was going on inside. Alias ISD confirms the kids hadn't been in school since May of last year, and there were no CPS investigations open, according to the agency, although they had a history with the family. These kids slipped through the safety net.
And what we know is that they work well for some, but they're not intended for all.
Allie Jacobs is the Director of Counseling at the Houston Area Women's Center.
What do we need to do to make sure that no other children suffer this way? What typically happens is bystander effect. Someone thinks that someone else is going to do something. You don't rely on someone else to do the checking or do the action.
And also ask questions.
Serving meals is helpful, but also like, when was the last time you ate? Like, who's feeding you on a regular basis?
Tonight, those 3 children are in foster care. Investigators say they will play a huge role in this murder case.
My hope and prayer, and I'm sure that the community shares it, that these kids find the love, support, and care that they deserve.
The boyfriend in this case is charged with murder. His bond was set at $1 million. The mother is facing several charges, including tampering with evidence. Her bond was set at $900,000 worth of charges could be added. Reporting from West Harris County, I'm Lauren Tallarico, KHOU 11 News.
It is also very infuriating. Something else the sheriff reiterated today: if you see something, say something.
You just never know when it might save a life. Again, Lauren, thank you for the update. We'll follow this story from the recovery of those boys and the case against their mother and her boyfriend. Also read more about the allegations on our website, khou.com.
We're covering a very disturbing case out of West Harris County now.
Late yesterday, a mother and her boyfriend were arrested after the remains of a child were found. 35-year-old Gloria Williams has been charged with injury to a child by omission, and 31-year-old Brian Coulter has now been charged with murder. Williams' family says they haven't spoken with her in months. It's a story you'll see only on 2.
how did we get to this? How could you not reach out and just be like, y'all, I've lost control. It's not in a good space. And we would have taken all of the kids.
The children had been living with their brother's skeletal remains for nearly a year. We have team coverage for you tonight. Rochelle Turner has more on the investigation.
But we begin now with Taisha Walker with the story you'll see only on 2. Taisha, what else did the family have to say to you?
Lauren, the family says Williams basically was estranged, that they would hear from her on and off. Her number was always different, as well as her address. In fact, they said they didn't even know that the family was staying at this apartment complex because the last time they met them over the summer, it was just the boyfriend who came outside of the apartment complex, a 15-minute drive away.
I seen the news or the news article about the kids, but I never thought it was her.
Christy Smith and everyone sitting on this couch is related to Gloria Williams. The 35-year-old mother of 6 is charged with injury to a child and tampering with evidence, while her 31-year-old boyfriend is facing murder for the death of her 8-year-old son, Kendrick. Harris County deputies say Kendrick was beaten and his corpse was left to decompose for 11 months inside of an apartment the couple abandoned to live elsewhere.
Kendrick was autistic. To my knowledge, when he would come around our family, all he did was smile.
Cousin Yasmin Craig says Kendrick was mostly nonverbal. She says as a family, they offered to raise Kendrick when he was younger, but William refused.
My mom has been asking for Kendrick since the day he was born. All because we knew that all these kids, eventually, she was not going to be able to be the best parent she can be.
Family members say Williams had 6 kids, including the 3 surviving boys who were also living in the apartment, and 2 girls, whom she no longer has parental rights. Melody Robinson has full custody of the youngest daughter and says CPS told her this late last year.
Because Gloria gave up her rights to her and she failed the first child, that they would be going in to take all the other 4 boys.
The family says Williams was estranged, only reaching out for money, always saying the kids were fine.
Anytime we did go help, where the kids at, how they doing? Oh, they in school. Yeah, it was always doing so we never had an apartment number. She always be like, okay, I'm gonna meet y'all at the front of the apartment.
Another question so many viewers have been asking, aside from where was extended family, they wanted to know how was Williams able to pay the rent here with these kids living here by themselves. The family members that I spoke with say they believe with disability checks that she was receiving for some of the kids. We do know not only Kendrick had autism, but another one of those 4 boys that was living inside of the apartment complex behind me. Reporting live in Alief, Taisha Walker, KPRC 2 News.
What's being called a house of horrors. This is in Michael's hometown of Houston, where police are saying a little boy was beaten to death by his mother's boyfriend. Zachary Quiche has more on what his 3 brothers have been through. Good morning, Zachary.
George, good morning to you as well. You know, some of these stories just hit a little bit harder. You know, these youngsters were failed by adults in their lives at every single level, beginning with their immediate family. And yet there were neighbors that wanted to help. But at the end of the day, those bags of chips, those slices of pizza, the phone charges they offered weren't enough to counter that house of horror. This morning, a gruesome discovery. Gloria Williams and her boyfriend, Brian Coulter, are facing several criminal charges after the body of her 8-year-old son was found in an abandoned apartment.
In my long time of working homicides, this one's up there. You know, this one affected us.
Sunday afternoon, a 15-year-old boy belonging to Williams called police for help, saying his brother has been dead for a year. 31-year-old Coulter is charged with first-degree murder, and 35-year-old Williams is accused of tampering with evidence and injury to a child by omission. Authorities say the 8-year-old, Kendrick Lee, died of multiple blunt force injuries, and his decomposing body was found in plain view.
We saw soiled carpet, no furniture at all. No bedding, no blankets, nothing that we could see.
3 of Williams' other children, ages 7, 9, and 15, were allegedly left alone for months with their dead brother. They were found malnourished and showed signs of physical abuse. Overnight, Melody Robinson spoke to our affiliate KTRK.
For you as a mother to watch somebody do that to your child, that's not a mother. A mother doesn't do that.
A neighbor says several residents complained about the odor and other issues in apartment 531.
I understand the management company called your apartment, and what did they ask you?
Yeah, they call me and they want to know, have you seen those guys, your next door neighbor? I said, no. I said, can you go and knock on that door? I did, but nobody answered, so that's happened a few times.
Really hard to wrap your head around this story, George. As the authorities have mentioned when they showed up, no blankets, no furniture, no electricity. It's been really interesting to spend some time there with the neighbors as they begin to talk to each other and kind of piece together some of the activity that was happening around that apartment. I'm told that a former teacher showed up just a couple days ago, completely heartbroken by the news.
Boy,
George.
it's just an unimaginable story. Okay, Zachary, thanks very much. Hi, everyone.